Going on YouTube? It's your boy Cyberstein here, coming at you with a video. I realize it's been a long time since I last made a video, but I'm back. Uh, Me personally, I've been taking a break from the game. I apologize. I haven't really been near the game over the past month. It's been a very long time. I haven't really had money to spend on making decks, but I'm back now, and I'm hopefully gonna get some stuff up for you. So anyway, this video is about the top 5 decks, what I think personally are going to be the top 5 decks of the format after the Secret Forces. So without further ado, let's start the video. So obviously, as you can already see, number 5, I feel like is going to be the Ritual Beast deck. It's not as competitive, more of a fun deck, but it is still very versatile and very good with it being able to play cards like Macro and D-Fisher. And it can also abuse cards such as Necro Valley because it does not use the grave. For those reasons alone, the deck is already amazing. Plus, if you add the Dark Holes, the ability to play Emergency Teleport, the trap cards, like this card alone right here, Ritual Beast Steeds, it is broke as hell. Being able to play stuff like Lightning Chidori, just a bunch of versatile. It can play both the mirrors without being hurt, and for those reasons, I feel like this is number 5 from my list. Is earn that spot, and just because of the fact it can single-handedly get around the Genlock. It has at least 50 plays that can get over the Genlock. It can use Steeds. It can use Dark Hole. It can use Raigeki, it can use Book, it can attack over the monster, it can use Petal Fin, it can use pretty much anything to get over the Genlock. And that is another very versatile thing. So, for that reason, this is number 5. Moving in at number 4, we have Satellar Knights. Now this deck, a lot of people would honestly think Burning Abyss would be in the 4th or 3rd spot. But no, for this reasons, I picked Satellar Knight because it can simply just beat Burning Abyss. It has abilities to main deck things like the artifacts and the Trap Tricks engine, Vanity's Emptiness. Even the trap card also is just amazing. It can even main deck. Apologize. It can even main deck things like Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and it has an amazing match against Clifford because of Time Space Trap Hole, Vanity's Emptiness, and Bottomless Trap Hole, even Deep Dark Trap Hole, which is another good thing against the Necros. If you've seen any recent YCS duels or regional duels, me personally I have, and I know that this deck has the ability to defeat Necros. I've seen it 2-0 Necros before. It can easily beat them. It has stuff like Soul Drain that it can play. Obviously, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror doesn't do much, but Moraltalk doesn't target, which is another very good thing because if you need to get over the Genlock, you can play stuff like Raigeki and Dark Hole in this deck as well. But if you have Moraltalk, you can summon it, get over the Genlock, and they can't trish you because it doesn't target. So, for those reasons alone, Satellar Knight is amazing because it can play the artifacts, it can play Time Space Trap Hole, it can play basically anything that can get around pretty much every card in the format. So for those reasons, this is number 4 on my list, on top of Burning. Now don't get me wrong, Satellar Knights and Burning Abyss are tied in my book, pretty much. But Burning Abyss did not make this list at all. Number 3, as you can see, is Yosenju's. Now see, the ability of this deck is incredible. You can get 5 monsters on the board in one turn like that. Like that. I'm sorry, I can't snap very well. But you can just get 5 monsters on the board without even having to try. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You can play Pendulums, which are amazing. It just makes hybrids so much better. You can get 3,000 attack monsters out in one turn. Easy enough. You just play the 3 scale, the 5 scale. 5 scale becomes 11 if you have Yosenju. So you just special summon 3 of the Dabikazi, whatever it's called. This deck has the ability to play things like Mirror Force. It can play Divine Wind and Mist Valley. I do not play this on my YGO Pro build, but it can definitely play that deck. And it has its own Solemn Judgment, which in itself is good. It can play things like Vanity's Emptiness, Mirror Force, Dimensional Fissure. It cannot play Macrocosmos because it does need things in the grave at times. But it has so much versatility. It can play Necro Valley, which you can see in my side deck. It can side Macrocosmos. I would not recommend maining it in here. It can play the Shadow Mirrors. I apologize for that. Anyway, this deck has just so much versatility. It can easily get a bunch of rank 4s out in one turn. There's not really much else I can say about it. This deck can OTK. It can do anything. It has the ability to play all these rank 4s. It can play 3 Lightning Chidori, which is a main aspect of the deck. It can play 2 Castel. It can play Abyss Dweller. It can play Lavavel Chain. It can play pretty much anything. And for that reason, and all those reasons, Yosenju is definitely number 3 on my list. Number 4 on my list is Qliphort. Sorry, not number 4. Number 2 on my list is Qliphort. I apologize. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, I haven't really built this, but you don't really need to. Side deck is pretty standard. You just play a bunch of stuff for Mirror Match and Necros. But this deck, it can abuse pretty much every resource there is. It doesn't have to use extra deck, so Necros is automatically out on that spot. It can play Skill Drain, which is extremely good. It can get over the Genlock just by attacking, and it doesn't need the special summon. It can play Vanity's Emptiness. It can do hybrids with Trade-In. It can do a bunch of things. It can even play Necro Valley. Again, Necro Valley is a very big card in the format, I feel like. I don't know why more people aren't playing it in decks like these, because they don't need to use the graveyard. And for those reasons, Qliphort is already good in itself, because it doesn't need the special summon from the graveyard. It can special summon from the hand, but as far as I'm concerned, nothing really stops that. No one's really playing Stellar Knights. I don't know why. It is one of the top decks. It can be very, very good. It can stop things like this with Time Space Trap Hole. But Qliphort is just so versatile with its OTK. It can attack over pretty much anything in the Necloth deck. It can get over Decisive Armor. Yes, it can. I know it's hard to believe, but people are playing. They are playing Towers. At least one in the side deck for Necros, so it can get over Decisive Armor plays, or Trishula, which is another thing, and it's a very good thing. If you want to play something like Macro in this deck, which you can very possibly, I'm not too sure on the ruling, but as far as I'm concerned, last time I played Qliphort, if you have Macro face up, they don't touch the graveyard, they go to the extra deck, no matter what. And another thing with Vanities, they can't destroy it because they don't hit the graveyard. So, things like that, they're just so good. And other things, like, if you have Macro, for turn 1, you're not going to have anything in grave. So, for that reason, again, you know, Trishula's dead. So, what are they going to do? You're always going to have stuff out of your hand. You're never going to have a hand. Basically, you want it all in your extra deck, on your field, or in your Pendulum Zone. And basically, just things like that. It has so much versatility, so much searching. Yes, it loses to things like MST and Twister and Fairy Wind and Typhoon, things like that. But there's things you can do to get around those cards. Stuff like Spell Canceller, which this deck can play. It can also play things like Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell, which I know is not very big right now, but it's still very good. And for those reasons alone, this deck has earned number 2 on my list. And number 1, as you probably guessed, is Necros. I know, like, I'm trying to trash this deck during this video, but there's just no way this deck cannot be on my list at all, unless it's number 1. There's no way this deck would be on my list unless it was number 1. So here it is. It's Necros. This deck is just so retarded. It's ridiculous how good this deck is. Yes, I'm playing like the actual like cards that are Necros, like Gungnir and Valkyries and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. It can play things like Abyss Dweller, and since they're all water attribute, fairly enough, you make 2 Unicorn, you overlay them. They're both water. You get a 2700 attack Abyss Dweller, and you just do 1 Unicorn, a Senju or a Manju, or 1 Unicorn, a Manju. You still have a 2200 attack Dweller. Now this deck, it has the ability to abuse its resources raw. See, it can play things like Raigeki and Dark Hole. This deck barely loses to anything except for Macro, Dimensional Fissure, and Dark Law. But it can get over all 3 of those things with stuff like Dark Hole and MST. Now you see, this deck does lose the Vanity's Emptiness, but it does play MST, as you can see there. It can play things like the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. It can't play Light Imprisoning because it has Manju and Senju, but that's besides the point. It can play things like Fire and Ice Hand for Cliff Forts and Satellar Knights. It can play all the things that completely destroy Cliff Forts, and it completely destroys everything. It can lose to Burning Abyss, but it also beats Burning Abyss. There's so much versatility with this deck that you can do. With Necros Cycle, with Trishula, stuff is just possible. Valkyris, it can stop battle damage, which can stop Cliff Force from OTKing you if you don't have a good first turn. So, I feel like this deck, it doesn't have to play traps either. It can play Vanity's Emptiness. It doesn't have to play traps, which is another very good thing because traps are not always the best in the format. And for those reasons, and all these reasons, that's why Necros has our number 1 on my spot for top 5 decks. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content and videos. Another honorable mention in this is Shadal's. As I said, Burning Abyss was already tied with Satellar Knight. It was just between Burning Abyss and Satellar Knight, which was going to take the number 4 spot. I was not going to put Burning Abyss in over Ritual Beast. Did not deserve that. But Shadal is another honorable mention. This would definitely take 6 if I was doing top 10. But, as I feel like Shadal, it can't really contend with all the decks in the format. Once the new set comes out, that might be a different story with El Shadal and Anomalith. But as of right now, Shadal, it can't really contend as well with the other decks. Even Satellar Knights will beat this deck. It loses to heroes. It loses to pretty much everything. It can play 2 Dark Hole, but there's just some things that even certain cards can't do. And for those reasons, Shadal, sadly, it didn't make my list. It is my favorite out of any of the decks that has come out in the past year. But sadly, it didn't make my list. But anyway, as I said before, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And peace out. And before I go, actually, sorry, there will be some more content coming up. There will be This will be some deck profiles. There will be do some duel videos. Hopefully some openings. I'm trying to get a couple boxes of the Secret Forces for you guys. Probably a Necros profile, a Clifford profile, possibly your Senju and Ritual Beast deck profiles as well. They won't all be from me, be from a couple friends of mine who have probably built the deck. If you've seen any YCS Tacoma videos, I did attend, but not to play, just to kind of like hang around and see all the things that were going on, because I'm kind of broke at the moment. I couldn't play, so one of the people who taught, Liam Lamont, I don't know if you know him, he comes with my logo, so I'll try and get like a detailed profile from him if he's there, and hopefully he'll do it. If you won't, that's all. It's all good. Yeah, his profile's up on Inch95's channel. Don't know him personally, but he has that profile, so you should go check that out. Anyway, yes, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe on the video. Just punch that like button in the face, man. Hit it with that Shadal Fusion. And this is Cyberstein signing off.